So what's going on, everybody? Wanted to do a quick video. I know I've gotten a lot of questions about this. I've actually got questions about a lot of things, but specifically about my equipment, what I'm currently running, and why I've affixed them this way. So what I want to do today is go through the three weapons, and yes, I use three weapons, but one of them isn't that crazy, at least not yet. But the three weapons that I use currently in GS. So without further ado, let's get started. I guess to start, we'll just go over my power level, or battle power. I believe that's how it's translated in the global version. So right now it's at 1371. I can get that a little higher, but not too much, and you'll see why in a second. I'm currently leveling Hunter, but I decided to switch things over back to Tekken to show you what I'm running with now. I figured I'd just max Hunter out and then figure out what I want to do next. So let's move on to the main weapon, Resurger. This can be spelled differently in global, but essentially the same weapon. So this is my Partisan Wand multi-weapon. As you will see, it is plus 40, so I've maxed it out. I've also fixed it with 4 different abilities, and we'll get into those abilities. It's also got its 3rd potential. I'll work on getting it to its 4th potential later, but that's not really important right now. And it also has Fixa Attack 3, and that's the main reason why I decided to take the deep dive and go with this Partisan, just because right now a level 3 preset ability, especially Fixa, and I'll get into what it actually does, pretty good. And so what you'll see is that its damage variance is about 79% to 100%. I've affixed it so that its damage variance is a little higher than it should be normally. And then we've got some weapon upgrades as well. So let's get into what we have. Of course, the weapon potential in itself at level 3, 21% increase in power. Upon a successful step, boost critical rate by 15% for 30 seconds. Now, of course, you might have heard that this potential is not the greatest, and it really isn't in the grand scheme of things, especially when step dodging or steps in general for a lot of weapons really aren't that great. If your weapon has a parry, chances are parry is stronger than step. But one of the benefits of the Resurger weapons is that you can multi-weapon with everything. The only other 4-star wand is the Cat Wand, and you can only mix it with things like sword and some other weapons. So if you wanted to go Wand Partisan, you're kind of out of luck. Next, the preset ability, Fixa, level 3. This gives me a 4% increase in power. So that's just nice. Wasn't worried about crit rate or crit damage right now, just wanted to play it safe and go for that flat power bonus, as it'll impact both the Partisan and the Wand. Now we get into our actual affixes. So my first one is Dull Souls 2. Now this gives me 5 PP and 2% damage variance. Now you might be asking yourself, why damage variance? I'm running just to get back into it, we can see, there we go. I'm running a Partisan and a Wand. As you notice, Partisan is orange, Wand is yellow. These colors represent the damage type that they do. Orange is melee, yellow is tech, and if you have a gun or a range type weapon, it is blue. So once again, I get a lot of questions about, hey, is Wand melee, or hey, is Wand tech, or is such and such this or such and such that. One of the things that you can use as a very simple indicator is, what is the color of that weapon icon? Is it orange? Okay, it's melee. Is it yellow? Okay, it's tech. And this plays a very, very important role when you affix. Even though my stats are based on the Partisan, which is a melee damage type weapon, when it comes to affixing and wanting to make my wand more powerful, I'm going to need tech affixes. So there's one of 2 ways of doing that right now. That is one, going damage variance. Now once again, damage variance is the probability that you will do a certain amount of damage within a specified range. So you saw mine was about 79, 80% to 100. So let's say that I do 100 points of damage. I will do anywhere between 80 and 100 points of damage each hit. The more and more you raise that minimum damage floor, the more consistent your damage will be. So this is great for when you're doing mixed type or mixed damage type weapons, because essentially you are raising the minimum damage for both weapons. Doesn't matter if it's strike, doesn't matter if it's range, doesn't matter if it's tech. Perfect. So now we go to Air Note C. Now this might be spelled differently. It might be AEL in global, I'm not sure. But what do we get? We get 1% damage for both strike and tech. These are the augments that you'll want to be thinking about and looking for when you're mixing dual type weapon damage in your multi-weapon. This is going to support both the Partisan and my Wand. Similar to damage variants, of course, this is just straight damage. Next, Al's Secret 2. Now I am taking a -10 health point hit, but that's not a big thing, especially for Tector or even Hunter. Hunter, you get even more health. But this is what when I refer to things as flat damage or flat power boosts, this is what I'm referring to. You'll see that this affix gives me a 1.5% increase in power. Similar to this affix, this is going to go for all 3 weapon types. So I will get 1.5% for strike or melee, 0.5% for range, and 1.5% for tech. It's a flat power bonus. This is also great for your mixed type multi-weapons. Once again, I also get 1.5% damage variance, which also benefits both weapons. Similar to the Dull Soul. 5%. And I do take a hit on my damage resistance, but that's not that big of a deal, especially when you're Tector Hunter. You've got natural defenses built into your kit. Skills will offset this, no problem. And then Dreadkeeper, which I will probably increase the Dreadkeeper to when I get the ability to do so. Plus 10 HP, which basically counteracts the -10 HP hit here. Damage variance 1%, which offsets this a little bit. And, oh, excuse me, I said damage resist would be the one that offsets. And then damage variance, like the others, brings my minimum damage up for both weapons. And that's why I have my Partisan affixed the way that I do, because it's essentially set up to support both Wand and Partisan. I want to move on to Talis, because this is actually a PSO2 weapon. Don't want to spend too much time on it. As you see, all of these affixes are affixes that you get converted when you bring a PSO2 weapon over to NGS. You know, PP cost reduction, power, you know, it's a whole bunch of stuff. You know, these are basically very high level affixes that you would bring over from PSO2. The reason why I brought this weapon over specifically for Talis, and I will be doing a Tekker overview, it's for this potential right here that has a little bit of a kind of hidden effect that you don't really realize from how it reads. But it gives 23% power, which is whatever. The debuff buildup rate, or down accumulation, however it's translated in global, plus 20%. So if you guys looked at my previous video when we were looking at my skill tree, you know, I've got Shift to Amplify, which is essentially the 5% version of this. This is great just because Talis is a status weapon. The rate of speed that you can fire techs, you are going to be causing status effects a lot with Talis. And so this is actually great synergy. I don't want to get into it too much because I haven't tested it specifically, but it does appear that the Liberate series, or Riverate, however it's pronounced, even if you don't have a tech weapon, it seems like this particular weapon can cause elemental status effects with like a sword or a partisan or a double saber. There's some weird things going on. Once again, don't know if it's a bug, but I still think you can do that. So I brought that in anyway just because, hey, this is a great status weapon. It's an offhand weapon for when I need to kind of play safe and burn something down. And then I have my 2-star that hasn't actually been upgraded, and I'll get into why. But this is my wand and my partisan, my wand and my wired lance. Now, the reason why I haven't spent too much time with it is because I'm going to be multi-weaponing a new 4-star, a Resurge, wand, and wire lance. And so it's really just a placeholder. You're gonna see eventually when you do see me use wand and wire lance more in my videos, I'm going to be using this combination. But this gets into something very, very important that I want to cover, because I do get a lot of questions about this. For my partisan and wand, as we overviewed, it's very damage variability and dual damage affixes. That is because I use both the partisan and the wand, not necessarily equally, but there's a focus for both. It is primarily going to be my wand. The only reason that I am multi-weaponing it with wired lance, I want that weapon action utility, but I really don't need it for the damage. So what I'm going to do with the wand, once everything gets set up, is that I'm going to go strictly technique. I'm going to make the wand as powerful as possible, but not worry about any damage or things like that that come from the wired lance. So I just wanted to cover that, of understanding why. Another important thing is, yes, Partisan is my main weapon, though my main class is Tector. There's been some swirl, and I might just make another video real quick just to kind of hit at home on this, but I'll cover it here just because we're here. That, yes, your main class weapon gets a 10% damage bonus. So as Tector, if I use Wand, Wand does 10% more damage than it would if I were, say, Hunter main or Fighter main. So if I was a Hunter main, my Partisan would get 10% more damage than it does currently as I am Tector Hunter. With that said, it's not too bad with Tector because we have Shifta. So that 10% kind of gets cut down by Shifta's 5% and some other things going on. More importantly, I still get the 10% damage on the Wand version of this weapon action. So I don't need Wand to have that 10% damage bonus. The Wand does not need to be the main weapon. The only thing you need to do is have the Wand in your hand to get the 10% bonus when you're attacking with wands. It's been a bit of a swirl. There's been a lot of testing. There's been a lot of back and forth, but essentially that's how it works. And which I'll show in a little bit, I'll cut to it. I can still use this weapon even when I'm not Hunter. So I'll show that in a little bit after I show off my armor. So let's get into my armor, which is right now, nothing about NGS. I'm not using NGS units. That will be my next goal once I complete this Wand Wire Lance multi-weapon. So right now I'm just using my crash units, which are high-level, high-end units from PSO2 that also have high-end, high-level affixes. And they're all essentially the same. So power, damage variance, resist, power, damage variance, resist, power, damage variance and power, so on and so forth. So nothing really crazy there. These are just my PSO2 units. But of course, yes, I will be working towards a set of 4-star units. Not too sure which ones I want. If I should just go full power and not worry about HP, PP, or if I should do something that's a little bit more focused and just say, hey, let's just put more into HP just because you're a melee fighter. You rely on rest assign, so even though I play the mindset of don't get hit, you really don't need health if you don't get hit. Taking hits in this game can kind of be dramatic. You only have limited rest assigns, even though you can run around and get them. So I haven't decided exactly which units that I want. So that's still up in the air. Okay, so here we are. About to change my class. What I want to show, I'm still Tector Hunter. I still have my Partisan. Now, originally I thought that I needed to be Hunter to have this weapon because Partisan is the main weapon. But let's test that theory. Subclass, Force. Why not? Look at that. My Partisan is still equipped, and I can put it on another slot. The only thing I can't do, of course, is use the Photon Arts. And so this is where we can confirm what's going on with that main class weapon damage. Because as you can imagine, Partisan is still technically the main weapon. But other than Partisan normals, I can't use it. But I can still equip it as long as Tector is a class. And this is where the weapon class bonus comes into, where you don't need it to be your main class weapon, you just need to be using it, attacking with it to get that 10% bonus. So I just wanted to call that out. I had originally thought that because I chose Partisan as the main weapon, I would need to have Hunter in order to use it. Now, of course, is it useful? No, especially Partisans. Partisans are very reliant on the Hunter skill, but just something for you all to know, for you all to understand. When you start hearing things of main class damage bonuses and how all of that works, you know, it's not as restrictive as some might have made it out to be, especially when there was information left and right. So other than that, hope this was informative. I hope this answered many of your questions. Of course, if you have any other questions, let me know. And until next time.